Yeah.
Okay, because I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't getting perhaps a reading there. How long have we been broadcasting air?
About 10 minutes now.
Wow. Wow. My apologies on that. I was waiting for a signal in.
I sent you a message, but I don't know if you saw it.
No, I am sort of in position here. My sincere apologies, folks. We we got to get adjusted. We got to get adjusted. My apologies. Are we all here? We seem light tonight.
Well, I'm here. Good night.
Good night. Who all we got in the house?
This is Basha.
Who's that?
Basha.
That Basha? That Basha?
Yes.
I got you. I've got you. Okay, I'm trying to navigate my way here now. I see you. You are Basha's iPad. That's you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my apologies, guys. I was trying to get all things in order here. I see we got Duchess in the place. That's you, Dutchie. That's Dutchie in the place.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, good to see you there. Oh, we got the born day fellow, Jimmy.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hey, happy born day to you, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Now forgive me. I say born day. Everybody say birthday. All right. Did you give birth on this day?
Man, I don't think.
Get careful now. Did you give birth on this day?
No, sir.
No, you didn't. So anyhow, your mom can say happy birthday. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say happy born day. All right.
All right.
But wishing you all the very best, man. Be blessed in all that you do. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. We get Alicia in the place. Alicia, that's you. You can unmute yourself and say yes. Alicia.
Good at me.
Yes, I can hear you now. All is well?
Yes, sir.
Good. Reagan up in the place. Reagan, that's you. Say hello to the peoples.
Hi.
Hello. Good to have you. We will be riding very quickly this evening. So I need you to fasten your safety belts, everyone. Brother Keith, you are in the background, right? You have the safety position, correct?
Yes, I do. I'm eager to hear what you have to say, Brother Lundy. I think this is a very interesting topic, and good evening, everybody. Glad to hear and see everybody, hear from and see everybody logged on.
Indeed. Now, I'm going to be venturing into waters that I'm not so comfortable with. Okay, so I'm going to need some help as I go along, as I do this thing. All right. Now, Deja, as a safety measure, I email the presentation to you. Okay. So if I go south, I need you to work with me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen, okay? I'm going to attempt to share my screen. I'm going to try to find the document that I am looking for. Hold on. Let me try that again. I'm trying to share my screen.
You have the document open on the computer already?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So there should be a button that says share screen, like right at the bottom on the toolbar.
Okay, let me look for said button. Share screen. Wow. Share. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, you straight.
We can see it.
Wow, go on. All right. Behold, we roll it. Okay. The wonder of God as seen in nature. Now, Brother Keith, you're gonna have to forgive me because I might while out in this a little bit. So that's why you were there with the emergency brake ready for me, because I happen to love this subject. I'm a spiritual being, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the things of God that he does spiritually for us. But man, I must tell you a truth. I while out on the things that I see and I come to know of God in nature, all right? The things that are revealed to him, by him, through nature. And I find myself really giving him praise for what I see in his creation more than anything else. I know of the promises, and I know that he has things prepared for us that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, and I know they will far surpass what we have and what we see now. But truly, truly, I say unto you, what I see of his creation wows me daily. I'll start with simple things. Brother Keith and I, we often have, whenever God allows us to, we have occasion to roll together. Brother Keith is an engineer by profession. And I have said this, I hope this becomes part of what I am known to do. I say that our God is an engineer, all right? If we want to describe his position. I said that recently as well. And Brother Keith and I, we were passing these, y'all know the termite nests? Termites, they build a round nest, and they are brown, and almost anywhere you see them in the bush, in the jungle, next to your house, they build this big brown nest, all right? And it's round, it looks almost like an egg shape. Has anybody seen said shape in their comings in and goings? Talk to me. I just need to know from time to time somebody is out there.
Yeah, all the time.
I said to Brother Kev, Brother Kev, do you think the ants went to engineering school?
Brother Kev or Brother Keith, Brother Lundy?
Keith, that's you. Forgive me, I all mix up. It's you I'm talking about. Behold, thine brother is not an engineer. It's you, Brother Keith, and my apologies for that. Behold, my 55 years of age, near 56, begins to show all the more. I meant Brother Keith Bennaby. My sincere apologies on that. We have had said conversations, and we have asked, and I have made a light of it, whether the termites went to engineering school and graduated from the school, because everywhere you go, no matter where it is, not only in our island, but all around the world, they build the same type of edifice, the same type of way. And I guess if we examine the interior of that, we'll find that their inner chambers have similar structures. Now, how is that possible? Do the termites actually go to termite university? Do they have a degree which they go and they get, and then they come back and teach the others how to build? I think we know that the answer to that is sort of like no. They actually don't do that. And I want to say that we have seen this type of thing in more than just the termites. I'm going to click the slide 2. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Let me tell you the thrust of what I hope to accomplish here tonight. I know that the listing of people that are on this chat are generally believers, generally. But I'm not only talking to believers. There is a growing part of our population, not only in the world, I'm talking about even right here in the Bahamas, where individuals don't necessarily believe as we believe. The world's teaching is dominating, of course, the world. And so there are individuals who don't even have an appreciation for Psalm 19 and verse 1, which says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. In fact, the world is teaching that handiwork is not of God. And much of the world actually believes that. And they believe that because of the scientists, because of the world's engineer. And I make no reference to you, Brother Keith, because thou art truly a believer and an upholder of the gospel of Christ. And so I make no reference to you. But I do refer to your colleagues and those in the scientific world. Because what happens is this: man has been blessed above those termites, above all the other creatures that we know of on this planet, and we sit atop of them in terms of our intellect. And our intellect sometimes goes to our head, and that pun is intended. Our intellect goes to our head. It has gone to our head so much that we have gone, and I speak to we not in like me, I'm speaking to we as humans, in that we have taken the knowledge that we have gained, that God has allowed us to find out. It's like he has placed these things already in this universe for us. And as we discover them, we believe we are something in our discoveries. We elevate ourselves because we have this knowledge. And in fact, what we do is we, with our knowledge, influence others. And that influence is what I am addressing today, because that influence, even though it's in the world, you would find that it sometimes impacts even the believers, those in the body of Christ. Now, work with me. Can you see that? Can somebody tell me what that is saying, just so I know my audience is still with me? Somebody open your mic and just read that out for me.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
All right. Now that's a whole chapter goes along with that, and we know it. Actually, we know that story. The point is, it's a very well laid out story. And it's an account given by God to Moses, who had no clue of what was happening and what happened in the beginning. But God blessed him, and by extension blessed the children of Israel, and by extension blessed us and the world by revealing how he went about creating the heavens and the earth. He did a day-by-day account of the things that he did. And the funny part about it, and I use the word funny lightly, the funny part about it is the scientists, even though they shun God, the order of events that they present winds up in the same order that we see being revealed in the scriptures. Now, there's a challenge in terms of the time, all right? And I won't get necessarily into a full debate on the time, all right? And the time that this took, because there are schools of thoughts and even believers can see more than one definition of that time. And I won't argue that point, only present the basis of it. Our God created this universe in 6 days. Now, I've made a point before, and I personally lean along to the side where on day four, that's when God created the sun, moon, and stars, and the heavenly bodies and the heavenly lights, the heavenly bodies as we know them today. And as we know, our day is governed by the sun. That's what we call a day. When the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, and comes back up in the east again the next morning, we call that a day. All right? Now, some believers say that that same day applied to days 1, 2, and 3 also. Now, there was no sun on days 1, 2, and 3. And so that principle doesn't hold entirely. And so what the argument is, well, it was still day and night, but just it was another source of light. And I won't argue that point. I will just say that there is a bit of inconsistency. And I'm saying that I believe that there is actually room for a greater interpretation. I'm going to leave that there because that's not the subject and the thrust of what I'm saying tonight. All right? I will say that I do lean towards saying that the days of day 1, 2, and 3 were governed differently than when day 4 came and the sun, moon, and stars came. All right? I will leave that argument there because it's an open argument and there's more to it than that. And there are other sides to that story, okay? If you would allow me, I will move on from there. But at that point, boom, this is what we see. We see, let me get to that slide. This is my attempt at tech, y'all. You gotta work with me, okay? Can you see that on your screen?
Yes, we can see it.
That's attempting to look like a galaxy with a lot of star activity. You would notice that the center of it is pretty bright and hot, and that's normally where you see most of the star activity. All right? Our God did this. Our God designed this. And it just so happens that when this began, it's described just in a word. All right? The Father spoke, our God spoke, and these things came into existence. We believe that. We trust in his word. He not only created the heavens, but he created the earth. And the thing about this is, our earth is so perfect. Perfect in its design. It is a sphere, a globe. And it's like almost you would call it a fish bowl because there's more water on it than land. But the trick about this fish bowl, if you would call it, is that there is no glass around it. if we had designed this, and I believe the engineer might agree, if we had designed a system to contain our lives and keep us alive, we would have probably enclosed it in something. Just like how we build a house. We don't build a house without a roof and doors and windows. We enclose our structures. Our cars, we generally tend to enclose them. Our planes are those things that we use, and especially where we live. Brother Keith, you do still have the windows and doors on that place, right? I'm not speaking out of turn, eh?
They're still there, sir.
Absolutely. We do that. However, when our Creator made this earth, He didn't put windows and doors on it. It's actually an open system. But what He did was He set principles and laws in place. The principle law that He set in place to hold this thing together is gravity. Gravity pulls all of the Earth's mass, including its water, even its atmosphere, and it pulls them together and holds the Earth together. So the gravity, and the more that you build on that gravity, the greater it becomes, and so it sort of supports itself. That's an awesome design. That design doesn't come about by accident. But there are those in the world who teach otherwise. Now, something happened in the garden. I speak to us as believers now. Something happened to us in the garden. Our God created a garden, and He created and he planted it eastward in Eden, right? And then He placed man in that garden, but He did something tricky, something that I wouldn't have done, and probably most of us would not have done. In the center of that garden, He placed two trees there. The tree of knowledge and the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He said, do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat of it, in the day that you eat of it, you will surely die. We know how that story played out. They ate, they died, and in fact, we're still dying today. But the world teaches something else. I am going to show you what the world teaches. I am mindful of you as an audience right now. I am not saying that I propose this, but for our discussion, I want to show you in summary, in the best summary that I could find, what the world teaches. Now, we know from our words and the belief, and we know this to be true. Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. This begins in Genesis chapter 2. All of Genesis chapter 1, God describes His creation. And by the time we reach where Moses writes Genesis chapter 2, the earth and the creation of all is finished. The world says something else. There's a warning that is given in Deuteronomy. It says, see, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil. That's found in Deuteronomy chapter 30. Now that's really talking about how God had selected Israel, and He is saying that He has given them the law to follow. But there were alternatives. Remember, they had come from Egypt. Egypt did not lack gods, small G-O-D. There was a lot of gods in Egypt. There was a lot of other ways. But the Father was saying to them through Moses that he is setting before them life and good, death and evil. He advises them to choose life. But he acknowledges that out there in the world, you could also choose death and you could choose evil. I recommend to you, I strongly urge you, do not choose death. Do not choose evil. The world offers that to you. Our Creator offers good and life. All of what we see around, we are able to live, even through this pandemic, we are able to live and survive through it. Some of us, because we are all mortal, can succumb to what is happening, but in large, our God is preserving us. The world is teaching something else, not just on the current pandemic, the current plague of COVID-19, but actually on creation itself. I do not purport this. The world calls it the Big Bang Theory. I am sure that that phrase is not unfamiliar to any of you. I believe everyone has heard that phrase before. I'm going to make an attempt here. This is the summary that I've found.
Everything, from the tiniest particles to the largest galaxies, to the very existence of space, time, and life.
Can you all hear that?
How did it all begin?
Can you see that?
The origin of the universe is the origin of everything. Multiple scientific theories, plus creation myths from around the world, have tried to explain its mysterious genesis. However, the most
Sorry, Lundy, we can hear it, but we can't see it.
Is the Big Bang Theory.
Are you playing it from YouTube?
The universe began as
I am playing it from the
dense point.
Let me pause this a moment. I am playing it from the actual let me see if I can get this. I want you to not only hear it but see it, okay? Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get this a bit better for you, okay? I want you to not only hear but see, okay?
Because if you're playing it from YouTube and you shared, okay, there we go. There
Can you see
A
that?
few millimeters wide, it was simple.
All right, let me start it again, okay?
The universe is everything, from the tiniest particles to the largest galaxies, to the very existence of space, time, and life. But how did it all begin? The origin of the universe is the origin of everything. Multiple scientific theories, plus creation myths from around the world, have tried to explain its mysterious genesis.
Creation myths.
However, the most widely accepted explanation is the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory states that the universe began as a hot and infinitely dense point. Only a few millimeters wide, it was similar to a supercharged black hole. About 13.7 billion years ago, this tiny singularity violently exploded. And it is from this explosion, this bang, that all matter, energy, space, and time were created. What happened next were two major stages of the universe's evolution, called the radiation and matter eras They're defined by key events that helped shape the universe. First came the radiation era, named for the dominance of radiation right after the Big Bang. This era is made of smaller stages called epochs that occurred within the universe's first tens of thousands of years. The earliest is the Planck epoch. No matter existed in the universe at this time, only energy and the ancestor to the four forces of nature, the superforce. At the end of this stage, however, a key event occurred in which gravity split away from the superforce.
From the superforce.
Next came the Grand Unification epoch, named for the three remaining unified forces of nature. This epoch ended when one of those forces, called strong or strong nuclear, broke away. Then the inflationary epoch began, during which the universe rapidly expanded. Almost instantly, it grew from the size of an atom to the size of a grapefruit. The universe at this time was piping hot, and it churned with electrons, quarks, and other particles. Then came the electroweak epoch, when the last two forces, electromagnetic and weak, finally split off. During the next stage, the quark epoch, all of the universe's ingredients were present. However, the universe was still too hot and dense for subatomic particles to form. Then, in the hadron epoch, the universe cooled down enough for quarks to bind together and form protons and neutrons. In the lepton and nuclear epochs, the radiation era's last two stages, the protons and neutrons underwent a significant change. They fused and created nuclei, and in doing so, they created the first chemical element in the universe, helium. The universe's new ability to form elements, the building blocks of matter, cued the matter era. Much as the name suggests, the matter era is defined by the presence and predominance of matter in the universe. It features three epochs that span billions of years, the vast majority of the universe's lifespan, and includes the present day. The first was the atomic epoch. In this stage, the universe's temperature cooled down enough for electrons to attach to nuclei for the first time. Called recombination, this process helped create the universe's second element, hydrogen. This hydrogen, along with helium atoms, dotted the universe with atomic clouds. Within the clouds, small pockets of gas may have had enough gravity to cause atoms to collect. These clusters of atoms, formed during the galactic epoch, became the seedlings of galaxies. Nestled inside those galaxies, stars began to form, and in doing so, they cued the latest and current stage of the universe's development, the stellar epoch. The formation of stars then caused a tremendous ripple effect and helped shape the universe as we know it. Heat within the stars caused the conversion of helium and hydrogen into almost all the remaining elements in the universe. In turn, those elements became the building blocks for planets, moons, life, everything we see today. This ecosystem of everything was only possible because of the many stages in the universe's development. While countless questions about the origins of our universe remain, it's only a matter of time for the long-sought answers to emerge.
Okay. I need to get back to you now. What's appearing on your screen that you can see?
Your PowerPoint is back again.
Okay, is it on the universe?
Yeah, but you're probably
Okay.
going to want to click play from current slide so it can go back
Okay.
to full screen again. From current
Guys,
slide.
thank you so much. All right. Okay. We were, I'm trying to get right back to where we were, okay? We were here. Now I need to know and be assured. Let me say this. That's where the world is. You note that the world made no mention of God. In there, they said that this is generally accepted. They are speaking as if they're speaking for most of the world. And in fact, they might even be speaking for most of the world. There is no mention of our God. There is no mention of anyone resembling a creator. And there is a significant error in that assumption. And this is the error. Anywhere where you have a design, you must have a designer. Anywhere where you have a design, you must have a designer. Somebody give me a car, a nice car. Somebody, what's a nice ride, decent ride? Anybody?
Lambo.
Say it again.
I say a Lambo.
A Lambo as in Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Excellent choice. All right. White or red?
Cherry red.
Cherry red. Okay. Now, let's take that cherry red Lamborghini, right? Now, do you know that a car actually has thousands, and it actually has thousands of parts in a car? Even the parts have various parts. Can we agree on that? Can we see that? If you take, let's say your radio that's in your car, the radio itself has many different individual parts. You got the dial, you got all those individual components in that part, in that radio. The steering wheel, even, that is a big thing as it is, it actually has a shaft that leads down to the wheels that help turn it. That's connected. The dashboard has all kinds of little gadgets, and the Lambo probably has even more than a regular car, all right? So let's take that cherry red Lamborghini, by the way, that we can build as humans. We can build a cherry red Lamborghini. Let's take that cherry red Lamborghini and break it up into its individual parts. All right? One cherry red Lamborghini. Let's get some gas because we're gonna need a full tank of gas too. And let's get the key because we're gonna need the key to start it. All right? And now, but the whole car is unassembled. Now let's take that Lamborghini and put it in a big bowl, all right? Put it in a big bowl, right? Or like a glass, right? And let's shake it up until that Lamborghini assembles. All of the pieces come together, all the radio parts fit in their proper place, well together, sorted together, screwed, all the screws come together, the shaft of that wheel comes together, all the tires come on and screwed on tightly to their property, the hood and all the engine comes together. I'm asking you a question now. And also we want that the gas that's there winds up in the full tank, and we want to keep shaking that until the key that we have also winds up in the ignition, and we turn the key and it turns, and that Lamborghini starts. Somebody help me and tell me, how long will it take for us to keep shaking up that glass bowl until that Lamborghini assembles itself, fills that tank of gas, all the parts, and it's working perfectly, radio, AC, all the parts working perfectly, screwed together tightly, and the key wind up in the ignition and turns. Somebody, I'm asking you, how long will it take for that Lamborghini, that cherry red Lamborghini, to be fully assembled, filled with gas, and start? Somebody help me.
Couple million years.
Couple million years. You shake it up for a couple million years, and it will assemble.
That's what
Somebody else.
That's what they say.
Somebody else. I need some opinions. Couple million years. That's one bit. Anybody else?
Boy, I know.
That's another bit. I don't know. By the way, I don't know is a valid answer, by the way. Many of the prophets used to say that, Lord, thou knowest. That was actually a wise answer, all right? When the prophet said that, Lord, he asked Ezekiel, can these dead bones, these dry bones live? Ezekiel looked at the bones, saw they were very dry, and he said, Lord, thou knowest. That was a wise answer. Anybody else? How long will the radio take to get all the parts, right? Assemble them, tighten them up, put them in the right place, in the dashboard, all of the components of the radiator, all the components of the gas ignition system, all of the brakes, all of the and the tire, the air gotta wind up in the tires too, and the tires have to be blown up, all right, to a certain amount of tension, all right. Otherwise, you ain't have that red Lamborghini with flat tires. I know you ain't have that, right? 4 flat tires, and so that the tires are fully aired and puffed up, and all of them get screwed on properly, the front ones and the back ones, and the engine block winds up in that right place. Of course, it would have to be fully assembled, and the suspension system, all those screws and nuts. How long will it take for that Lamborghini to be assembled and the gas to get in the tank and the key to turn? Somebody, I only got 2 answers. Somebody else, help me out. I got 3.
Is it just shaking on its own? Like it just, it's just...
You could shake it. You could shake it, but of course, according to the theory, ain't nobody there to shake it, but we just saying, granted that it's shaking, okay? You could shake it, and we're saying, how long shall you shake it before that Lamborghini fully assembles? And by the way, if the torque is not right on the wheels, right? Like let's say you screw the screws on and they're not really tight on the tires. You think you would feel good driving that cherry red Lamborghini if the screws on the tires are not screwed on tight? Would you feel comfortable driving that Lamborghini if the screws on the wheel were not screwed on tight?
Not at all. No.
Not at all. Okay? Time is up on that matter. Clearly, I will suggest this. That Lamborghini will never assemble. That Lamborghini would never assemble. One, because you're going to need tools. You're going to need tools to get those screws at the proper torque. You cannot shake a screw tight enough on the system. The radio will never assemble because some of the parts are soldered in. You know what soldering is? It's like when they have those little guns and you solder the pieces on to the radio. Have you ever opened up a device like that? Some of them are not always screwed on. They are soldered in, meaning they are melted in position. All right? You will need tools for that. You'll also need somebody who knows exactly where to put them and how to create them. That Lamborghini will never assemble, no matter how many billions of years you shake that thing up. It will never assemble. And yet, we have Lamborghinis by the thousands. We have Lamborghinis by the thousands. Why? Why is that? Why is that? It is because there is an intelligent design, and we as humans built them. We designed them and put them in place. That's how we can build them. That's how the Lamborghini, we have factories that turn those things out. You cannot shake a Lamborghini in place. You have to go inside a factory and build it. And so the point that I'm making is this. The Big Bang Theory lacks a designer. And that is where the whole theory breaks down. Because at the end of this, and as we looked in that film, at the end of this, you see, and therefore people and all these things come into play. No, we are a designed group. I sent something on the chat. It was a little video clip. Did anybody see it? I sent it earlier. Did anybody see the little video clip that I sent out on the chat? It was about a spider. Did anyone see that?
I did, Lundy, but you know, I don't want to continue to interject. I'm yielding to others. I did.
All right, I'll get there. I'll show a bit of this. All right. Psalm 41. By the way, I don't know why this is written twice, but it is. It says in Psalm 41, verse 14, it says, "The fool saith in his heart, there is no God." Psalm 14, verse 1 says that. And also Psalm 53, verse 1. In fact, if you read Psalm 14 in your own time, look at Psalm 14 and look at Psalm 53. You will find a striking similarity. In many instances, you would say that they are the same. Now, I don't know why the Father would make a point and put it and say it twice. I don't know why he would do that. But for some reason, he did. And sometimes you should take note of that. The fool said in his heart, there is no God. This is the little clip I did, all right? And I'm going to try to see if you could see this.
Spider silk with the scent of a female.
I can pause it. I can try to see if you can put, I'm going to try to put it on the screen again for you. Can you see that?
He just needs
Yeah.
to find it.
Okay.
Wherever it leads him. Other males have gone on the same quest and have come to a grisly end. Here's the female, and she doesn't look very amorous. In fact, she kills every male who doesn't match up to her expectations. What can he do to win her over? Dance. Dance for his life. He will need a show-stopping trick to avoid becoming lunch. With his fan unfurled, he begins an ever more complicated series of dance moves to try and seduce her. Last, she succumbs to his advances and allows him to mate with her. He matched her expectations. But she kills him anyway.
It's unfortunate that he killed anyway. Is the presentation back on your screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I have a question here. Did the spider design himself? Design, we're talking about design. I'm not talking about the dance. I'm not talking about the interrelationship between him and the female spider. I found that very interesting. Did the spider design himself? Somebody help me with that.
No, he didn't.
Do we think that it just happened over a period of time that he was originally dirt and he just morphed into whatever pre-phases, and then he learned to dance along the way, and that crept up, and then he became to that point? I'm saying to us that when we look at this creation of ours, it is impossible for it to be by chance, which is what the Big Bang Theory is purporting to do. that there was one big bang, and that one big bang was perfect. It produced a perfect earth. It produced perfect living organisms. Of course, you could say, oh, millions and millions of years, right? But that one big bang was perfect and produced life here and a perfect environment for that life to sustain for all these periods that we know, and allows the life even to change and evolve. I'll use the word evolve, all right, in a certain way. I am putting it to you that it is impossible for that to all be by chance. There is a design, and the things that happen by explosion. I don't know if anyone has ever seen any type of explosion, but if you take a house, let's say you take a house and you explode that house, in no instance you will find like a bunch of little perfectly assembled little houses. You don't find that. You might not even find a perfectly assembled little table or chair, even though you're using pure house material. The explosion never produces anything of order and precision. An explosion produces chaos. An explosion doesn't result in a cherry red Lamborghini. It can never result in a cherry red Lamborghini. However, if you have a designer involved, you can wind up with a house, you can wind up with a chair, you can wind up with a cherry red Lamborghini. I believe that the scientists, hopefully in our lifetime, even though I don't think so, will have to agree that what they find and what they are seeing, particularly on this earth and anywhere else that we are allowed to go, is that this is not the result of chance, but what we are seeing is the result of design. Let me see if I can get this now to advance. There are going to be two scriptures I want you to pay attention to. This one in Job 26, and there's another one that's coming up next. Job 26 and verse 7 says this: He stretches out the north over the empty space. He hangs the earth on nothing. Job is one of the oldest books in the Bible. Job was written thousands of years before, forgive me. Centuries before man even agreed that the earth was round and that the earth was not a flat table-like square object that we all sit on. Centuries before man went out and discovered that the earth is actually spherical, the writer of Job says that he hangs the earth on nothing. Not only does it go beyond the spherical shape of the earth, but it states a scientific fact that human beings did not know or even come to know anywhere near the century when Job was written. that earth is in fact hanging on nothing. There is a similar passage that I'd like for you to note in Isaiah, the 40th chapter, in verse 22. It says, "He who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in." It says he who sits above the circle of the earth. Most of those who are the writers and the thinkers during the time of Isaiah had the world as a square, flat place. They had it so that the water would actually run off the earth, and they were not at the point where they accepted a circle, let alone a sphere, for the earth. Yet Isaiah, the inspired writer of God, the prophet, writes the words of our Father, of our Creator, who, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, and he says this. I'm going to accelerate this because of time, okay?
Mantids will eat anything that moves.
Let me see if I can do this for you, because we're bringing this to a close now, all right? And I want to get your input, because the whole thought here is what we are looking at is well-designed creatures. These creatures did not design themselves, and a random explosion did not design them either. They are too precise in their function. They are well put together. There are component parts inside of them, even in their brains, that cause them to function in this way. That doesn't assemble itself by chance. Even if you shake it up 1,000,000 years or a couple million years, you don't wind up with that type of program, that type of process, that type of system. Let me know if you can see this.
Including other mantids. Time to leave.
Forgive me, because of time, I'm going to accelerate this, okay?
In pursuit. A mantis is born with exceptional eyesight, but the spider's is even better. Although this young mantis can't yet fly, its long forelegs, evolved to catch prey, give it reach. There seems to be no escape. But this mantis has a surprising line in self-defense. Kung Fu, praying mantis style. Of course, it's all bluff, trying to look bigger and confuse its enemy. But it's got away with it.
I'll stop that there. All right. I want to hear from you. Who taught the mantis that style? Who programmed him in his brain to be able to defend himself in that way? Who programmed him in that way? Let me hear from you out there, please. Anyone?
God, of course.
Of course. What we're doing is we are eliminating the error of the world. We are eliminating it with reason. It just so happens that these are only the small creatures. These are only what we would regard as insignificant creatures. You know, we haven't gotten to the advanced creatures. We're not even on humans. All right, we're not even on the advanced birds and cattle and primates. We're not even there yet. Yet we're seeing a level of design and intelligence that could not have happened by accident. There's a scripture here. This is a commercial break. Our commercial is being brought to us by COVID-19. Does anyone have a thought on what most of the scientists, I'm talking to scientists now, believe that what was the start of this COVID-19? Where did it begin? Not where in terms of location, but what was the source of it? Somebody help me out.
Yeah, Brother Lundy. And they mentioned someone eating a bat or something like that.
Yeah, that's why we're in Leviticus right now. Leviticus 11, 13 to 19. Now remember, this was instructions to the children of Israel, not necessarily instruction to us, all right? This was the children of Israel's instructions. They were told, and these you shall regard as abomination among the birds. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, the vulture, the buzzard, the kite, and the falcon after its kind. Every raven after its kind. The ostrich, the short-eared owl, the seagull, we got many of them. The hawk after its kind. The little owl, the fisher owl, the screech owl, which is sometimes called the Lilith. The white owl, the jackdaw, the carrion vulture, the stork, the heron and its kind, and the hoopoe, and the bat. It just so happens that same bat that the Israelites were told, make sure you don't eat no bat. It just so happens that might be the cause of our current world pandemic today, that we're even feeling here in New Providence. As the people normally say, I'm just saying, all right? Sometimes we find that our Father has a lot. This will be my final slide, okay? This will be my final presentation. I chose a theme, right? There are other things I want to discuss, but I need to bring this to an end. I chose lower animals, something we don't even regard, all right? This Porsche, you will see, is also of the same kind, all right? I'm going to end on this, but think of who the designer is, all right? One moment.
In her quest, she's equipped with... To help her in her quest, she's equipped with 3 superpowers. First, an amazing approach to getting about. Portia is a jumping spider, able to leap up to 50 times her own body length. Nowhere seems beyond her reach. Next, her second superpower, superb eyesight. Essential if she's to distinguish her prey in all this clutter. Because her prey doesn't stray. Portia is a spider-eating spider. This raises a few problems. Her lunch is 3 times her size, packed with venom and surrounded by a sticky trap. Mission impossible? Not at all, because of her third superpower. Portia is a genius. She can map her world in 3 dimensions and formulate a plan of attack. She can have an idea. The web builder is blind. He won't have a clue that she's coming. Right on target and safely behind those fangs. But a mind as active as Portia's can always do with more brain food. Here, there's no anchor point for the abseil. But Portia has another idea. Instead of going to the spider, she will bring the spider to her. She plucks the strands to imitate struggling prey. Drawing the spider in to its death.
I want to end that there. All right. I hope we see a consistency. We stopped at lower animals, right? Just a spider. Just a spider in this instance. There are other examples in nature that we could look at. All right. Something I want to read for you coming out of Proverbs chapter 8. All right. The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I have been established from everlasting, from the beginning, before there was ever an earth, when there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills, I was brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth or the fields or the primal dust of the world, or the primal dust of the world. Proverbs 8:22-26. Can we appreciate what is being said here? By the way, this is not the Christ. I do not believe that this proverb is talking about our Lord and Savior Jesus the Christ. This proverb in the whole chapter of Proverbs chapter 8 is talking about wisdom. Wisdom, sense, that which makes sense, the logic and the reason. What it says is, before God made anything, he made wisdom, he made sense. And therefore, all of his creation that followed had wisdom and sense in it. He built the thing with sense. He did not build it with nonsense. That's why the earth is formed. That's why we wind up with these creatures, even ourselves, whom he has built. Our God designed us. He built Adam from dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils. He formed every bird and animal. They did not form themselves. I ask a question just to make sure you all are there. Has anyone ever heard the expression, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Help me out. Somebody answer me. Make sure I ain't by myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you ever hear that again, let me say this. You know, if you ask the wrong question, chances are you're going to get the wrong answer, or chances are you won't get the right answer if you ask the wrong question. Okay? The question is not which came first, the chicken or the egg. The right question to ask is, did the chicken design the egg, or did the egg design the chicken? That's the question that the scientists are not asking. That's the question that the people who try to trick you in this world are not asking. They're asking you, which came first, the chicken or the egg? They want you to follow behind that logic. But the way how our Lord taught is, he never used to follow up on people's folly. He would show them truth. The question is not which came first, the chicken or the egg. It's, did the chicken design in its body the egg that would produce the next generation of chickens? Or did the egg design within its shell the chicken within it? And the answer is neither. Neither the chicken or the egg are the designer of themselves. Neither of them designed either one. There was a designer of both of them. That designer is our God, who designed both the chicken and the egg and put them in their cycle. The chicken didn't do it, and the egg didn't do it. Likewise, if we want to say the dirt didn't do it, and the stars didn't do it. The four super forces, as they said in that video, the four super forces, which would be gravity and weak. They have super forces, by the way. That's almost like a god they're talking about. Super forces, gravity, weak nucleus, electromagnetism and strong nucleus. They have those super forces as the things that created our world as we know it today. They have assigned those things which were created by God as being God themselves. I hope we see that. They are saying that gravity, along with those other three, were the ones who designed this whole, they designed you. They're saying that those are your gods. I want us to believe that and understand that that's what they're saying. That they are your designer. And I'm saying to us, don't fall for the trick. Don't fall for the trick. Design doesn't come about haphazardly or by accident. Nothing you see created and that makes sense and puts together happens by accident. No, everything, this phone, this platform that we're using, everything that makes sense has a designer. And the designer is our God. He has made us and made us able to design. Now for you, I'm going to put down my case here. In your own time, look at the cuttlefish. It has wondrous powers. The cuttlefish can change. It can manipulate within its own cells 3 colors within its own cells, which are the red, yellow, and blue. And it can manipulate those colors so that it can match its own surroundings. It can also manipulate its skin so that it looks different and deforms its own self. Whenever you get a chance, look at the cuttlefish. All right? Something happened in Isaiah chapter 38. I will read it for you as we wind this thing down to a close. This is the Father speaking through the prophet Isaiah. He says, "Behold, I will bring the shadow on the sundial, which has gone down with the sun on the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backwards." So the sun turned 10 degrees on the dial by the which it had gone down. I'd like for somebody, as we close and bring this to a close, to explain what would have happened there. Somebody help me. If the sun, right, went backwards in terms of the shadow, you're looking at a shadow going like as the sun passes. If you see the shadow stops from going in the one direction and goes back in the other direction, 10 degrees, somebody explain what happened that Isaiah is explaining. Help me out, somebody. Let me know you're out there. Explain this. Help me out, somebody.
You went back in time.
Exactly. Our Father stopped this planet Earth from spinning. And he took the Earth and turned it back 10 degrees, which is probably really only 5 degrees because we're only talking about the day part. So since there's a night part, that 10 degrees is really 5 degrees, but we don't have to argue that. He stopped the Earth so that the shadow that normally would happen, and he turned the Earth back 10 degrees or 5 degrees. Now, if he had done that quickly, and like if you slam brakes, everything on this Earth would have, I don't know if you ever slam brakes in the car and you don't have on your safety belt. By the way, we on Earth don't have on the safety belt. Everything on this Earth would have shifted. The sea would have come and come across the sea. Oceans, like a building, all those things would have crumbled. But he slowed it down so carefully that that did not happen. And he brought it to a stop, and he actually turned it back 10 degrees or 5 degrees. That's the power of our God. He made this earth and he can control it, and he has put it in its place. We can trust in him. When you have an opportunity, I had shared this before about the deep sea octopus. They discovered that the deep sea octopus, the female, would sit on her eggs. Once she has laid her eggs, she would sit on her eggs for 4 years and not eat. She would not eat for 4 years while she covers her eggs and protects those eggs. They discovered it, and they've never seen that before in nature. This animal doesn't eat for 4 years while she tends to her brood. After she has done that, she just dies and allows her offspring to live. When you have opportunity, have a look at that. When you have opportunity, Google 55 Cancri. You probably won't remember that. But when you Google it, you will find that it's a planet that they found. And that planet, they believe, because of its density, is considered to be a diamond planet. Have a look at it when you have an opportunity, all right? The wonder of God as seen in nature. I really thank you for listening and sharing. I really appreciate your tuning in. What do you guys say, man? Let me hear from you. You going with the big bangers? You going with the world? You going with the Big Bang Theory?
Never.
Or are you going to trust in your living God?
Yeah.
Help me out now, somebody. Help me out, somebody.
Well, my brother, we're not going to leave you hanging. I thank you very much, Lundy, for that presentation. Well thought out, well researched. And I like how you said that you just presented the lower lives. You're not talking about the primates, you're not talking about the elephant, you're not talking about humans. You're just exploring the design in the lower levels, as we would put it. And trust me, folks, Lundy could go on all night with regard to his fascination on God's creation. Thank you, man. God is awesome, Lundy. And
absolutely
he reveals himself through his creation.
Yes, he does.
All one have to do is look at their hand and know that, man, did this thing just jiggle into place? Evolution produced this gripping device. I'm able to squeeze my hand. I'm able to make a fist. I'm able to, have this part of me as something that serves me, that shows care. I could touch someone. I could touch myself. God is awesome. And all you got to do is look and see that he speaks to us through his creation. And we go on and on and on. But I thank you, man. Some good stuff. Some solid good stuff. I took a look at a tree recently, Lundy and folks. And it was a palm tree. I was by my aunt and I visited her just recently. And I noticed the palm tree, this ascending trunk. But in the trunk, you have this circular difference in the trunk every 6 inches. They're about going up the trunk, the entire length of the tree. I said, man, that's the first time I really noticed that you have these rings planted in the bark of the tree. I said, how did that happen? And it shows design, it shows order, it shows a God.
But did the palm tree do the chemical work on itself to produce that ring design is my question, my brother.
Not at all. Not at all. Some good stuff, man. Good stuff. I mean, boy, I'm excited about God's creation also.
Indeed. Grace to you and peace, my brother. Grace to you and peace. I stand down, all right?
Let us know that equally excited about God's wonder, God's creation.